psychology enthusiast. Even the Skies Are Blue is her maiden publication, so congratulations. Multi-talented personality, has had formal training in classical music, having performed a few musical programs, found an indie pop band named Potassium with some of her classmates. So, today, to help Archita launch When the Skies Are Blue, I'd like to invite Dr. Srinivasan, founder and chairman of Care International and Archita's educator, and Shinie Antony, writer, editor, and the festival director of the Bangalore Literature Festival and the Bangalore Poetry Festival. So welcome, and let's start the program by unveiling the book right away. Even the Skies Are Blue by Archita Sriram. Another round of applause.
Starting with something from the beginning of the book. The poem I'm going to be reading is from when the protagonist is in a very vulnerable, confused mood. And she's a very passionate painter. And this poem is about how she compares her state of agony to one of an empty canvas. Easel. The journey is like a palette, one withered and scratched. Boring and painstakingly empty, years of colors snatched. Been far too long since the stroke of a brush skimmed its skin, filling the canvas with love, passion, and such things akin. But forgotten it had not how it had felt to fall into the feeling of 1,000 strokes, unfurling warmth over the surface, bleeding. The power the painting held, its talent to pull you into it, enfold you, its ability to whirl you and then drown you and then hold you, its vulnerable beauty that makes you want to gaze on forever until you are sore and shredded, its simple presence making you shiver. That was what it felt like, hunched beneath the streetlight. Far away from the quiet, in a howling whirlpool in the clear night. Yet, I walked away from the swing, the park, the memories, smiling. My head held up high, my hips swaying, barely surviving.
Shinie, you've read the book, and it would be nice if you could read 4 lines that you really enjoy.
I'll read out the lines that I like the most. And it's right at the start. When you lie at the bottom of the sea, all is dark and quiet. There seems no way out. Then how did you fall in? But times change. So did we. My life stopped rotating. The earth stopped moving.
Shinie, what in Archita's work really sort of caught your attention?
Subodh, actually I read her poetry quite by accident because I hadn't got the book. It was kind of a forward in which this was attached. And so I read it almost like it was a trespass kind of an act, But after I read it, what caught my attention, as you asked, is there's a lot of angst, and then there is this slow flight out of that angst. And for someone so young in chronological years, I thought that was a very mature act, which is why we are here to celebrate the poetry today.
So I think we keep going back to chronological age. We obviously have a very talented young lady here who's chosen the not so commonly tread path of writing poetry to tell her story. And we have Dr. Srinivasan, her educator, who's sitting there. So this question is to you. How do you feel as an educator when you see somebody that has been under your sort of guidance for the past few years blossom into this wonderful young lady who's really sort of taken this huge step forward and has published such a work of art?
See, a child interested in writing or even publishing a book is not anything new for us. But the depth of feeling and the ability to express that in such succinct metaphors really surprised me. Because I am a student of literature, I studied it in great detail. When I saw the flow, I was amazed. Because whatever she has done is very fresh ones. She has not borrowed. She has given a kind of an expression to her original feelings, and they are very powerful. And that's what I saw in her. In fact, if I recollect, I think I spotted her linguistic ability when she wrote me a mail, which was about deep feelings. And I did not know who wrote that mail, but I went to her class and appreciated the person who wrote the mail. Am I correct? And I was amazed at that time itself, amazed by its maturity and the way it was expressed. And I saw the same in the book, but in a different form. This is highly imaginative and highly creative. And I think we are very proud of her. And I also wish that Archita, as well as all our students, attempt writing, attempt expressing in whatever they like.
It is a book of poetry, and I think more poetry should grace the occasion. So, Archita.
So the next poem that I will be reading is one where she's in this mindset where she's finally decided or come to realize that the only way that she can move on or move past all that's happened in her past is by confronting them. And this is one of her most impulsive decisions. She's had a strained past with her mother, and she hasn't visited her in a while, and her impulsive decision in a taxi cab leads her to go visit her mom. So this one is called Taxi Cab. The musky smell of dust filled the air, the stench of hundreds of thoughts and voices, too much to bear. The somber seat covers sat quiet below, listening to the shaky whimpers, soft and slow. The driver whistled, blissfully lost in a world away, lips moving and eyes heavy, clouded by something grey. Blissfully unaware of the storm that blazed in my heart, one that spread to my insides like smoke, slowly ripping me apart. My head too heavy and beginning to melt from emotions unspoken and thoughts unfelt. And as the cab dawdled and pulled into the driveway, the one with lilacs and tulips that danced in May. I saw the flowers taunting me, their faces still smiling as they sneered, reminding me of where I stood, ever closer to everything I feared. I took a deep breath as I stared at the unfamiliar paint. The smell of antiseptic cloaks the air. Suddenly, I felt small, like a 10-year-old hiding under the bed from her mother, hiding from the slap, from words that would punch my gut. I straightened my back and walked with confidence. "I'm here to see my mother," I said, startling the receptionist and myself.
That was beautiful. Shinie, everyone says it's difficult to publish poetry. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel the hottest thing when it comes to publishers, it is non-fiction, going by how topical that particular non-fiction focus is. Then comes fiction, but only novels. If it's short fiction, they'll still say, are you Kushman Singh, are you Shobha Day? Because then we'll publish whatever you write. But when it comes to poetry, it's a definite no. You know, it's very, very rarely that they will even agree to look at poetry. But as a writer myself, as probably an aspiring poet myself, what I feel is, yes, writing poetry is tough. Sorry, publishing poetry is tough, but writing is equally or even tougher. You know, because the very act of identifying with being a poet and saying, okay, I'm a poet, I've written this, and this is probably poetry. That's setting yourself up on a path of self-torture. You know, but nothing can spiritually interpret the world quite like poetry. And just for that, I feel I really respect all poets who choose to be a poet when it's easier perhaps to choose not to be a poet. So I respect all poets, including Archita.
And I'm going to follow that up with a continuing question to Archita. So when we met, you described this not as a work of fiction, not as a work of poetry, but that you chose to publish a work of fiction through poetry. And you've just heard what Shinie said. It's not just difficult to publish poetry, it is difficult to write poetry. So what made you choose this difficult path to tell your story?
I think before I had an idea of writing something along the lines of this. So the idea was pretty similar, but I'd actually started off with writing something along the lines of this, but as a novel in fiction. And it was even, the idea was the same, but it was more specific to bullying. So I thought I'd give it a try and write something, as a novel. But I think I had written 2 chapters, and I got really frustrated because I felt like I wasn't able to say what I was feeling. I wasn't able to put it on paper as a novel. And for the longest time, I've had perhaps a diary in which every time I feel something really strong, I put it down on paper, so it's out there, it's somewhere. And I had stopped working on that novel, and I had given it a break. And I was pretty frustrated then, so I used to write a lot in my diary. And then I think stemming from that, I realized that it was far easier for me to express myself through poetry or verse. And I decided that maybe I could give this a shot as poetry, and that's kind of where it came from.
Brilliant. First of all, I think it's wonderful to see that someone chose to take the harder path just because it felt more natural to them, and kudos to you for doing that. Dr. Srinivasan, the next question for you is, you see such, not just talent, but such intensity and passion coming out of someone so young. And yet, you're constantly listening to parents who are, pushing their children into competitive streams of education, not necessarily acknowledging that arts might be something that they would like their children to pursue. As an educator, again, the importance. It'd be nice if you could talk to us a little about what you feel is the importance of arts in formal education, especially in the Indian scenario today.
I think it will be more relevant to us in India. See, we are all human beings. If we need to be good human beings, happy human beings, and successful human beings, in all the endeavor and in all aspects of life, arts plays a very, very crucial role. Most of us may not understand. More than half the brain is only arts oriented. You talk to people, you understand yourself, you understand nature, you understand your body. All these are only arts. If you don't have that arts developed, many of us will remain deformed. And unfortunately, our education is doing it. It's accepting parents pushing the children to work towards IIT. But many of us don't know, more than 50% of people don't pass out of IIT. And many IITians, even after having passed, they don't have a great job. Why I am saying that is, see, we need to make every child a success. Every child's brain works in a different way. Without the artistic side of the brain being developed, there is no way you can develop the other side of the brain. You call it logical thinking, you call it anything. So if you want to develop a child who will be capable of dealing with this world, including self, arts has to be developed. And you don't need to do much. You just need to give space for the child, support the child, that's all. Then automatically children will blossom. If we curtail, if we push them in a different direction, they will listen to you when they are very young. But when they revolt, it will be very difficult for any parent to manage them. And they will do in some form or the other because the natural propensity is not taken care. If the water has to flow in this direction, and you keep pushing it in the opposite direction, it doesn't help. So the best thing would be to understand a child. For that, we need to understand how a brain works. What is emotions? What is being linguistic? What is being logical? And how does a child enjoy her life, enjoy her studies? If you understand these things, definitely we will help each child to grow the way they want to grow. Education is only to help, not to push them. Unfortunately, we have adopted a method of pushing them. And I don't want to use this word, but I am helpless. This pushing equals destroying. To what extent, people have to realize, but I know what extent it can destroy a person. The other side is to support them and they will blossom. We believe in helping the children blossom by climbing their own mountain. We don't decide the mountain, we don't decide anything, but we help them. That's why we have mentors, not teachers. We have children, we understand multiple intelligences, we work to the build of this idea of multiple ways of thinking, feeling and doing. I'm sure Archita is an example and every single child of our school is an example.
Today, without the support of her friends, her family, nurture her talent, help her take her passion forward, into this wonderful book here today? Maybe another passage, another poem?
Before I read the poem, I want to draw attention to one of my favorite illustrations. You might not be able to see it now, but it is a picture of an eye. Around the pupil lays mechanical clockwork, and in the heart of the pupil is fire. And this illustration is representative of, it symbolizes two poems, which one being Wake and the other one being Quickfire. I will read out Quickfire. This illustration, it symbolizes how the protagonist's life after a while turns into clockwork. It's just repetitive, a numb lifestyle that she goes over and over again. And with the start of Quickfire in her heart, she realizes that she has the ability in her to burn this mechanical clockwork and find herself. And this is one of the poems, Quickfire. Something about today feels unconventional. The day in itself was cloudy and dull. A light drizzle on the window woke me up, a chill in the wind. I put on my raincoat, strapped on my black lace boots, stepped out and was pinned. The scene was refreshing, with misty clouds rolling over the sky, the fresh green of the trees, little pieces of dew that settled in my hair, and the breeze that brushed past my scraped knees. It was something entirely new, this electric energy I felt in me. A new breath, something I was yet to learn, the smell of being free. Free of the blues, of the constant sorrow, the feeling of helplessness. Being sorry for everything, sorry for myself for being such a mess. Today, I don't want to be bogged down. I don't want to feel numb. I want to enjoy the fire that has sparked from what I've become. I want to bask in the warmth of that fire on a rainy day. A fire that set ablaze anything akin to gloom or kept it all at bay. A forest fire that spread through my heart like parchment that fell in the hearth. And you watch its words burn away, the fire dancing over it in mirth. That's how today makes me feel, a fire that dances in the rain, a fire that dances to take away the pain, a fire that burns in a mellow heart, a fire that is now in me, a small part.
Got a chance to grab a copy of the book, but the chapters, many sections of the book are actually dispersed with some wonderful illustrations. And the illustrations, no surprise, by yet another young lady, Jyotsna Shiv. To see that so many multi-talented young people are amongst our midst, and two such people have collaborated and in bringing out this book. A loud round of applause for them. Thanks, Jyotsna. I'm sure you're as proud as Archita about this book.
Yes.
And by the way, it is her maiden publication as well. This is the first time her publication.
Until quite recently, I didn't know that she was that good of an artist. I went to her house, I think a year back, and she had a couple of drawings up in her, in a couple of canvases and paintings and pictures. And I looked at them and I was quite taken aback, because for the longest time I didn't even know that she used to draw. And when I was writing this book, I'd originally written this book in poetry and prose, but agent sir told me that maybe adding a couple of illustrations will really sort of help bring out and bring more, put more life into the book. The book in itself is pretty ambiguous, and he said that maybe adding a couple of illustrations, even though quite ambiguous, will help people put in context, you know, what's going on and all of that. And I was going over, so he suggested that why don't you do a couple of your own illustrations, you know, stuff that comes to your mind when you're reading the poem. And I'm not a great artist, so I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But then a couple of days later, I got a call from Jyotsna. I was just talking to her, and then it struck me. I was like, why can't I ask her to help me? I mean, this cover picture is done by her, and if she can, I mean, I just went ahead and asked her, and she said, yes, I'll do it.
Wonderful. Take a bow again, Jyotsna. So, one more?
Okay, sure.
One more.
I think I'm going to be reading out one that is kind of where she realizes that she can, her mother and her, like I said, have a strained relationship, and her father also kind of a strained relationship. And she mostly the protagonist feels as though she's missing out on a lot of love. And this is the point in the book where she realizes that maybe, I mean, although a parent's love is irreplaceable, maybe she can make up for some of that by just learning to love herself. And this poem is called Love. Love. I raise my eyebrows, my eyes lost in thought, gazing between the wall and the mirror, legs hanging off the cot. My eyes move up to the paintings hung high, me, my mother, my family, all from the past. I observe the nostalgia they pour, the emptiness they hold, and the long shadows they cast. I know I've lost my mother, or the part of her that gave me love. Her smiling face filled with love, still looking down at me from above. And granted, I will never find that love again, she is irreplaceable. But I see me in the mirror, walking with my head high, emerging from the rubble. And I think to myself, will I be here forever? Do I want to be? What if I could love myself instead? And what if I can only find that girl in the painting, the pigtails and the smiles, by giving love, by setting myself free? I touch my face in the mirror. It seems familiar, somehow lovely. There is a glow around me in the mirror. The white walls seem lively. The golden glow of hope, I think to myself.
The golden glow of hope indeed. With young people like Archita around, I think we are certain that the next generation is going to continue the tradition of Indian literature and poetry and take it to the next level. Now I'd like to open the evening to any questions from the audience.
And I look at things fairly critically, notwithstanding the fact that she's my grandniece. This book was initially a little confusing to me, but then somewhere in the middle of the book, you get that moment where everything falls in place. See, there's an aha moment. You see, oh, this is what's happening here. You get onto the whole story, you get not just into the story, you get into the persons about whom she's talking about. Not just the protagonist. Every single person is etched so beautifully that they'll stay with you. Even after you have put the book away for a long time, they'll stay with you. And that is a remarkable character of this book. And that's what it is. The second thing I want to say is about the precision of the words that she's used. There is not a redundant word anywhere. Generally, when people start writing, they tend to get carried away. They use excessive metaphor, words. They try to put in everything that they... But here is a person who's trying to convey only what is in her mind about the character. It is not just using words for words' sake, but it is for a greater purpose. A greater purpose is to bring out the character so well that it stays with you. That's good, very good. Keep it up. So, speaker, illustrations, Jyotsna, beautiful job.
Poetry, but I read most of them online. I don't find a lot of poetry books. I mean, I don't even go to many bookstores to buy a lot of books, and I do a lot of my poetry reading online. And the thing about online reading is that they're anonymous authors. They come under a username, pseudonym, whatever. So I've actually been inspired by a lot of those poets. Unfortunately, I don't know any of their names. But growing up, I think one author that really inspired me, although she wrote a novel, is Jandy Nelson, who wrote the book I'll Give You the Sun.
I would like to turn the spotlight on your parents away from you for a change. They seem to have been a little unconventional in giving you the leeway to write these poems and get them published also. So maybe you can talk a little about what role did they play. Did they not initially try and say, Archita, let's keep all this stuff aside for some later date when you're got into a job, or perhaps even when you're retired, you don't do this now, stuff like that. So tell us a little more about that.
I think, even after coming to Gear, I've become a lot more an open person, but even then I'm a very shy person, and I don't think that writing a book or thinking about publishing it was something that I would not have done on my own. And I think the reason I wrote this book was because my mom pushed me to. She said, "Why don't you write a book?" And I said, "No, I can't write a book. That's too much." And she said, "No, just give it a shot. I mean, if it comes, it comes." And both my parents, my dad sided with my mom and said, "Yes, you have to write a book." And for a while, I was very bitter. I was like, "No, I don't want to write a book. That's too much to do." And then eventually, I settled on it, and well, here we are. So I'm very thankful for the fact that they pushed me to do this. And they never at one point did they say that, okay, of course they said that if it's getting too stressful, you keep it away for a while, but they were constantly there supporting me and saying, "No, you can finish it, just put your heart to it, you'll finish it." So, very thankful for that.
A very intense subject that you have chosen, and I got very emotional when you were reading some of the poems. So the question I have for you is, at this young age, what made you choose this storyline? It's very intense, Archita. I'm really, I feel very emotional.
To be very honest, I really don't know. So I was sitting on my bed one day, I was doing my biology homework, and I called my mom and I said, "I have this idea and I want to do this." And she said, "Yeah, okay, then go ahead." And honestly, I really don't know where it came from. I think when I sat down and I started typing away, it just came to me. And a lot of the times when I got stuck, I'd leave it for a day and I'd come back. I would have no idea how to restart it, but something would come up and it just grew until I finally knew that this is what I wanted to write. So I don't know, it's just something that came to me.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Okay.
Congrats, Archita. I have a very simple question. You say, how do you manage studies, your music,
Throughout the whole thing, I really didn't think of writing a book or writing this as much of a burden. I just did it whenever I felt like I needed a break from doing other things. And I guess it just came to me when I really needed a break. So it didn't feel like it was taking up too much of my time. So I had enough time to study, and then during the break, I just did this.
There is another hand raised here.
I just have a simple question. What inspired the name of the book?
The name of the book. So I think that I believe that blue is generally something that people regard as sad. There's blues, the music, and all of that. That is very somber. It's a very somber theme. And my book is about how somebody learns to embrace the lows that she feels and comes out of it. And I truly believe that the only way you can come out of something is by embracing it and understanding what it is and moving on. And I think that by the title, I just mean to say that even the sky is something that is very positive. A clear sky is something that a lot of people think is you see a sunny day, you're happy because it's a very positive thing. But if you look at it, it's all blue, right? So the only way you find your happiness is by embracing the blues in you.
Are there any more questions?
No questions, but I would like to congratulate this guy. Great evening, right? And great participants, and we have a very positive thinking teacher. And Shinie, of course, alone in favor of this thing. And I think most of us think that we are constrained by certain things that is not allowing us to bring out the best in us. As an understanding example, earlier in the fluent, she said that, look, I took a break and then I did this, right? That's what she said. What happens is that the constraint is, I think long back I read a book called Shiva Shankar, Chinna Nukanda Namai Sirai Paduthuvathu. I don't know how many of you have read that. And I remember Ramakrishna's wonderful books on writing the things. I think the constraint is asked. Some question is asked, how do you manage it, right? It comes to you naturally through that. The study, like Doctor said, if you're an integrated person in terms of, there's a partly studies, which Market incidentally, one of mine, guys who did studies with me, and then he did IM and then banker, and he started writing books. The question is that at what time you want to write? Do you want to get your economics sort of sorted out, and then you want to venture into that? You know, also you be able to be quiet, or you want to be quiet. So this is the question, right? There's an innate feeling, there's a raw, naked, univocal thing that comes out of you, that flows into you. It doesn't look for a time. It is there, just like she said. It just springs like that. This person. Many of us are poets. Many of us are singers. Many of us read a few things that it comes out of it. Only thing is we don't go take a further step. And then we don't think that how we can convert that, whatever is the talent that we have, into some kind of a solace for us, some kind of power for us. I happened to read Archita as a draft, I think even before it came out as a book, or it was in the book, I think. I honestly didn't understand what she wrote. For people like me, it's a little too much. Honestly, Archita. But then I went back, like regurgitate. You go back, read it twice, read it thrice, and pick up something and pick up what this girl is trying to say. I think what comes out, the whole thing is she's being honest about it. Her feelings are very honest about it in terms of it. And is converted those feelings into some kind of a style children's scripts. That's what she's written that. A little bit, as a poet's license, a little bit transitions here and there, but then you come back to the straight thing, but then this poetic license you always have. So moving to that. Congratulations, Archita. And I know you want to be a psychiatrist, if I remember correctly. I don't know. You want to do psychology studies, so easy to put that way. So that means you want to understand what goes in the mind. That means you want to understand what the thoughts are all about. That means you want to know what people are thinking and what amount they do about it. Do they want to live in morals or they want to come out? Is that right? I think that's what you're trying to say as a person who doesn't want to be, giving excuses in terms of what's past. But every day knocking at, every day opening another screen and coming out and come out and see the blue sky. At the end of the day it comes out. Wonderful effort and all the best. And I think it's my privilege to have you as my neighbor. And thanks, Doctor, for being with me. And so, not a day goes without she talks about in terms of your contribution towards the making of those things. And yeah, so I congratulate Archita, and of course I know the parents. No need to say about Atta Sriram, the positive influence that they were alive, and. You're lucky to have your parents, right? You can't choose your parents. They happen. You can't choose your boss when you work. So it's lucky to have your parents, and lucky to have all of us. And most of your credit also goes to Sriram and Shiva in terms of that. You are the karta, right? But then they are the people who let the karta come out of Thank you very much.
There was a little girl called Archita, releasing her first book at Atta Galatta. Mostly verse with sprinkling of prose. She wowed the audience, which rose, to wish her a place in the University of Wichita.
If there are no more questions, oh, there are. Right at the back.
My question is, like, was there a time when you were writing and you felt like this isn't going to work and I should just drop it? And if there was a time like that, how did you overcome it?
There were many times when I felt like this was not going to work and I should probably just go back and study. But I think that one of the things I did when I felt like it was too much for me or I just didn't want to do it, I left it for maybe a day or two, and then I came back to look at it and see if I felt like there was something that could be done about it. But many of the times when I felt like I can't do this, I think I leaned on the support of my parents and my friends who said, no, you can do it, just maybe give it a day or two, you can come back to it, I know you can do it, so just do it. And I think that without their support, I would not have finished this book at all, so thank you.
Archita, had you conceived everything beforehand, or just as and when you were writing, you just proceeded?
I think that every time I wrote one poem is when I even conceived the idea for it and what would come next. I think I did not have any of it planned. The storyline, I just said I'll write, and I guess at the end of it I'll just make a story out of it. And I think that's what I did. I don't think that I had any kind of planning before I did this. Every time I wrote a poem, I would think about what I wanted to come next after it, and I would write what came to my mind then.
How long did you take for the whole process?
I started writing last December. I started writing with a novel the beginning of December, and then I didn't do that for 2 weeks. And then after that, I began writing this. So it took me around maybe 10 months, and it's taken me a year to get to where we are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is for all the parents, but I want to answer for Archita. Archita, do you think by engaging yourself in this writing, it helped you in your studies, in taking care of yourself, in managing yourself, or it was a hindrance?
I don't think that this was much of a hindrance when I was studying, because I only did this as, I am really passionate about writing, and I think that writing this seemed just as though I was writing it in my journal. So it kind of helped me de-stress a little bit, and it helped take my focus away from things that were actually stressing me out. So I would say that this was kind of what kept me calm through, everything else.
Congratulations, Archita. Everybody is talking about what happened. Now I'm going to ask, is it your first book and not the last one?
Yes, it is my first book, but I think right now my focus would be, other than starting something else, probably, to get this out and spread the message of what is in this book to as many people as I can. And I guess now that I have 12th coming up and college and everything, maybe it will take me a while to restart this, but I definitely will. I definitely want to write something else.
Wish you good luck, Archita.
So I think we can continue the discussion in a more informal manner, but I'd like to invite Sriram to present a word of thanks for the evening.
Good evening, everybody. I think I was prepared for a very formal word of thanks, but I think a lot of discussions happened, so I'm going to cut through some of what I've written. But I think I will turn this more into a session of honoring the guests and doing the honors. No, as you'd imagine, there have been several people behind this effort, right? I'm going to, kind of split this into two. the people who were behind and helped a lot in the process of making the book, and then we'll go to the event of the launch, right? So I think the first one I would like to pick out is Jyotsna. I think the illustrator has done a wonderful job. This young girl has been an embodiment of enthusiasm and attitude and spirit. I think I think at many times she has actually been more interested in when this is coming out, and she's so bubbly, cheerful, and she's really contributed a lot in making of this book, right? She worked under severe deadline pressures, several times from Archita, from the publisher. The last week was very, we running helter-skelter. We didn't know whether it was going to be out on the streets before the launch. So we asked her to make a lot of changes, and she obliged. So I think it's been a wonderful contribution from her side and great accomplishment for her age. I think heartfelt thanks to you and her parents. Thank Shiva and Lakshmi. The second most important person who contributed to this is Mr. Adrian Cavender, right here in the first row. As Archita acknowledged in the conversation the previous day, I think we were around Shinie's book launch, and somebody was asking her a question, right? I think he was the one who actually helped her discover the talent in her, right? I think I still remember the day when Shiva and I had gone for a parents-teacher meeting, interaction, and he pulled out from his little drawer a piece of work that she had written and showed us, and she said, "This is what your daughter has written, and this is what she's capable of." And he really, sensitized, enlightened us to the talent and the facility work that she has, right? And many of you may know that she actually wrote only poems, only as poetry, right? It was his persuasion that she added a few interlinking prose. As he has rightly said in his foreword, I think she completely imagined it to be something where every reader is going to add a hue and a color to the book. So thank you so much, and it was almost a godsend gift for us that Mr. Cavender was transported all the way from Yorkshire to Bangalore and helped us. Thank you, and thanks for writing the foreword. I think I missed out one thing. I think we wanted to recognize the people who contributed to the small gift to show our gratitude. Maybe Jyotsna and then Adrian. Come forward, please. I request you to talk. Another person I want to talk about is Sridhar Chidambaram. He's unfortunately not here with us today. He's working as training and content specialist at Learning Matters. He contributed a lot in the detailed review and editing of our manuscript. And I think Archita ended up incorporating most of his suggestions, right? Unfortunately, he could not be here because of a prior commitment, because he goes to the rural areas to teach teachers, right? So he's a training and content specialist at this company. So he's not here, but our thanks to him. Right. Of course, Dr. Srinivasan, I think we owe a lot to him. He's a very firm believer of multiple intelligences and nurturing talent amongst the school pupils. We've really witnessed the blossoming and expression of her personality ever since she moved to Gear. I think she also mentioned it earlier. She was really introverted child. We've seen her blossom a lot under his guidance, and the entire faculty at Gear. I think I want to place my thanks to every one of the faculty who Subodh, I would like to thank Dr. Srinivasan for gracing the event. He's also written a review for the book that's printed when you buy the copy, which I encourage all of you to strongly do. You'll see it in the review column of the book. And then Dr. Ramakrishna Iswaran, right? He's my brother-in-law, and he's traveled all the way from Trichy to attend this event, participate, and encourage Archita. Right? He's an accomplished neurosurgeon. He's a very busy practice in Trichy, but he has made sure he takes the time out and come here. It's a matter of great satisfaction, and thank you. And he's also, but he's not here because he's a neurosurgeon. He's a poet himself, and he's compiled and published his first book. I think he's working on a second. He writes it's a multilingual poetry collection that he has launched, right? And I would really like to thank him and his wife who took the time to come out. To recognize and thank Ms. Pansy Parmar. I think of late she's become the friend, philosopher and guide for Archita. I think she's been a very constant supporting force behind Archita's journey through this. So we definitely greatly indebted. Thank you, Pansy, for what you've done for her. Thank you. No book is ever reality without the publishers, so I would like to thank Roshan Press. We got a lot of tough moments towards the end, as it always happens with any book like this, to make sure it comes out onto the streets on time. I'd like to specifically thank the CEO of Roshan Press, Naveen Vansakumar, who helped us in logistics, but unfortunately he could also not make it today because of a prior commitment. Right? Thanks a lot to Roshan Press. That's about the people who helped in the journey of the book, right? And moving on to the chief the guests here today, I would like to, Archita has always admired Shinie for her clarity of thought, boldness of expression, and she really wanted her to be releasing this, and of course when Subodh introduced, he also runs the force behind the Bangalore Literary Festival and the Bangalore Poetry Festival, so it's just very appropriate and could make it. And I should say, it was almost immediately she accepted our request, so without any hesitation whatsoever. And I'm hoping that her introduction to Archita will really help her through the days to come. The next person, I think you've heard for most of the evening today, is Subodh, right? We all know, I think most Bangaloreans now know that Atta Galatta is the place for Indian authors. I think they've done a wonderful job, doing a wonderful job of not selling books, but promoting the experience of reading a book, buying a book, and being with the authors, right? So he's been a wonderful moderator today, and made it a very enjoyable evening. Thanks, Subodh. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank his wife, Lakshmi. I don't know, I didn't see her here, but I saw her just a while back in the bookstore. Maybe we'll find her when we go back there. Right? Two other people, I think Sridevi Rao, I don't know whether she's here. I think she helped a lot with, getting this event publicized with the media. Right, and she deserves a lot of gratitude. And I think I would also like to recognize a few people who helped us connect with Shinie and Subodh. It's been a little long route that we had to take, to really start interacting with them. So I would like to thank Mr. S. Ramsubramaniam, our neighbor, and his sister-in-law, Akila, for really, because I think we also have Ravi today. Ravi stepped out, so I would like to thank really helping us getting the people for the event, the right people to encourage us and release the book. Right. Last but not the least, I think Palwal, the operations person at Atta Galatta, he's made all the arrangements. Really helped us. We didn't have to bother about arranging this. I think he's done a splendid job. Our sincere thanks to all the people present here, the audience. Have a big round of applause for coming here, taking your time out, encouraging Archita. I think she needs all your support, and hopefully all of you will buy the book and also enjoy it. So thanks to everybody, all family members, friends. I think we also had classmates, current classmates, people who come from the school who've come here. Thanks to all of you, and big thank you, and really want to appreciate you coming here and taking the time. Thank you.
Final word. There are copies of the book available for sale just outside. I'm sure Archita would love to sign a copy of the book for you. So, thank you very much.
Gama